Hey guys, it's Alexandra. If you have ever wondered about astrology or psychic healing, today I'm going to be getting a reading from Mystique Awakening. I will leave all her contact information below if you're interested in reaching out independently. She is going to be teaching us about Reiki, which is a Japanese form of natural healing. I think it'll be really interesting for you guys to learn about the science behind the energies. I hope that you will stay tuned to check out our session and learn something new. You can also subscribe for more videos. All right, thank you so much.
What's wrong? Oh, a little bit of anxiety, huh? That's okay. You know what? I got you. Palo Santo. Burn it. Burn it. Okay, good.
Tell me a little bit about what you do, and yeah, I'm happy to. It's called Reiki, right?
Yes, it's called Reiki.
Okay.
So it's literally pronounced like Ray as like a sun ray and key as like a key to unlock a door. But Reiki is it originated in Japan, and it is a form of holistic healing. It's a way for people to pretty much transmute anything that is maybe negative in the body that's keeping the body out of balance. And what it does, it helps alleviate that. It gives it a way to exit the body. So we usually do that as Reiki practitioners or Reiki masters with our hands. And what's really cool is that our hands actually activate in a sense. So with that being said, they get warmer. And back in Japan, when it was being originated, it was being used on, so many different people. There was a time where the practitioner was actually healing someone, and the person felt that the hands were so warm that it had to be some sort of machine. It had to be some sort of other agent that was doing this to make it so warm. But it was just the person's hands, and it was the energy that they were able to let flow throughout their body and help heal the person. So it's pretty cool.
That is awesome. When did you get started? Like, what ignited your interest in this?
Yeah, so I feel like there was a part of me that was already innate a healer. And it was something that I heard about very loosely when I was younger. And for some reason, right when I got into my spiritual journey a little bit more deeper, it like came up again. It was just one of those things where in spirituality you hear, oh, a synchronicity. It was one of those times. And so a synchronicity kind of happened. Reiki was floating around in my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the way that I can fulfill that for myself. I can give people readings and I can heal them with whatever comes up in that reading. Because I started with tarot first and then it trickled into Reiki. Now I do both. And so with that being said, I looked up a lot. I researched a lot. I found out that in a traditional way, you have to get trained by an actual Reiki master. And I was like, okay, like that's what I want to do. I want to do it the traditional way. I want to make sure I'm getting it from the roots and from the origins. And I went ahead. I did that back in February. I was healing before then, but I decided to actually get certified by a Reiki master back in February on my way to master. So very excited about that.
Cool. So what is that like, the training?
The training, it's really cool. We did it in quarantine, so we definitely kept the class to like a minimum. But what was really cool is that we actually had the ability to meet each other in person. So because of everything going on, there had been a lot of online trainings, but I was lucky enough to have had a master that was nearby and who wanted to do a very small, tight-knit group in like a building. So we go inside the building, and there's the Reiki master having all the crystals set out, having all the incense set out, really making it a very pleasant, warm, and welcoming experience. And it was honestly 2 days of 10 hours of training. So I did 20 hours. I just knocked it all out in one go. And it was cool. We had breaks, obviously, but we had a chance to study the material in a textbook kind of way with our manual and just hearing experiences from the master. After that, the second day, we did a lot more hands-on. So it was really cool because we had like the massage tables out, we had people laying down, and we could start to not only activate that Reiki energy within ourselves, but then feel it flow to someone else and see like their leg twitch or they feel like the tingles. And it was really cool to have that experience in person.
So how do you translate that virtually? Because you do a lot of it on TikTok. So how is
Yeah.
it different? Like how does that how do you switch from that so seamlessly?
Yeah. So that's a really awesome question. Thanks for asking that. So with me, well, with going through the training, they actually have a portion of it, which is distance healing. So we were trained in distance healing. Now, depending on what kind of practitioner you are, you can do it in so many different ways. And for me, honestly, it's so weird how it just kind of came about. I was on my TikTok. I was mostly doing my tarot things, speaking about mental health, speaking about spirituality, finding, lightness within dark times. And something just hit me when I heard a song. I think it was just, I don't even remember what song it was, but I was like, oh, I can do something to this. Like I can flow to this. I have past experience as a competitive dancer. So that was like incorporated in the healing. And then I really liked watching some Reiki videos that were online, but they weren't necessarily how I did it. I feel like a lot of the people online now, you can find them in like the ASMR section, but they only touch on Reiki a little bit. And I was like, this is a space where I could really come in and fill it and be that kind of person who just does this if someone only wants this kind of content. So I started to flow. I started to do it with the music. It became really rhythmic right away. One of the first communities that like showed support was the OCD community because I was going with the beat and because I was activating and translating that healing because of my training and because of just past experience. They were like, I really like that you're on beat. I like that it's so even and it makes my OCD calm down. And so I was like, okay, I think we're on to something here. I'm going to keep doing something like that. After that, I got the ASMR community on my side. I got the mental health community on my side. And then so many different kinds of communities came in just because I set that intention. I had the focus, I had the training, and I just literally let it flow.
Awesome. So what are some of the responses you've been able to get from people?
Yeah, responses have been crazy and all over the place. I get responses like, oh my gosh, I watch your videos every night before bed because it's the only thing that helps me go to bed. And I think that's really nice. I would love to be, a part of someone's nighttime routine. I think that's cool, especially because I'm an advocate for doing things in a healthier way. So hopefully I can act as a substitute for like a healthy way of healing or going to bed instead of maybe some other alternatives that are out there that have side effects that aren't very pleasant. So I wanted my healing to be that kind of experience for someone. So sleeping is a big one. Tingles are a big one. Having people like physically kind of lock into place, like their posture would get a little bit better and they can hear like some things clicking, which is really cool. I think my favorite one is probably like when people feel when I like do a blowing motion and they feel like the gust of wind, or I light an incense and they can kind of pick up on that intuitively. When it comes to situations like that, I'm like, yes, we were tuned in. We were at the same spot, and we connected in that way for you to experience it and sense it. So those are some of the things that I've heard so far.
That's awesome. And I think it's kind of interesting because you see a lot on TikTok now, especially probably just online in general, but I noticed it on TikTok, a lot of stuff with crystals. And it's kind of like almost trendy to like have crystals. And I think, there's kind of a misunderstanding that there's like all of this power behind them and there's energy behind them. They're not just like decorative. I guess they
Yeah.
could be if you wanted, but so what would you want people to know more about that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I think I really want people to know and figure out their own energy first before maybe diving into different tools. Tools are great and I love them, but at least like when I teach the people on my Patreon or I teach my students or people ask me, I'm always like, you have to make sure that you are knowing of your own energy first, your feeling of your own energy first, because it's going to be hard for you to just like pick up a rock per se and feel that energy if you're not aware of your own first. I feel like it's kind of like a given. You have to know yours. But when it comes to, yes, eventually you'll pick up that tool. I think it's really important to know why you want to have this tool in your life, and learn a lot about it and see why it's important to you. Because I could personally rave on and on about like an amethyst, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best for you. So I feel like tapping into your own energy first and figuring out why you want a specific tool, how it's going to be benefiting you, and how to take care of it and treat it. I think those are pretty much like the fundamentals of doing anything in regards to energy work or spirituality.
Awesome. And do you ever face anybody who thinks it's kind of wacky that you're doing stuff with your hands, or who say that, it's not real?
Yeah. So honestly, if anyone says it's like not real on my TikTok, I just like delete the comment, because like I don't need the energy. Like I just don't, because I don't need to sit there and like argue for something that is an easy Google search away or a simple question away. You know what I mean? And I can answer it. But I feel like there's people in this world that are very tapped in, tuned in, and there's people that are not so tapped in and tuned in, and that's totally fine. But at the same time, I always say don't knock it until you try it. You have to try it out first. You have to see for yourself instead of saying no and like resisting something that you just haven't experienced yet. Because how are you going to know? How can you say no before you know? So that's kind of one take on it. Another take on it is I try to, when I have people ask me like that, I try to bring it in very, very practical terms. Because if I'm like, oh my gosh, this healing energy is, gonna like do something, it's like people can automatically say, well, that's just placebo. You're telling me what to feel. I trust you, and that's what's gonna happen. First, there's already scientific proof about placebo. So placebo is not that bad because the mind is always everything, right? But second, I would say, okay, for instance, earlier I was talking about the heat in the hands. So scientists have actually proved that when we tap into that Reiki energy and allow it to flow through our hands and our fingertips, the vibrational frequency of our hands actually turns to 7 hertz to 10 hertz. 7 hertz to 10 hertz is the same exact frequency that your body vibrates and resonates at when it's healing itself. So this is already scientifically proved. And if I can kind of get them at that science angle, usually they're like, okay, I believe this, like I get it, I'm with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's so unique. It's because you do see, so I'm very in tune, like whenever I see an ASMR type of video, that is very soothing to me. So that's kind of how I came across yours. I was searching through those videos and it just happened to like come up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is, because sometimes it's like you said, they'll do like a little bit of like tracing, or they'll do a little bit of movement, and then they kind of like, it's barely, and I'm like, if you could keep doing that, that's like
keep going. Yeah, like I want more of that.
so that is so cool. You mentioned that you do energy readings too. So can you talk a little bit more about that and, the things that you started?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in the day, I actually started without any tarot cards. I wanted to make sure that I was tapping into my own infinite consciousness and kind of tapping more into my own psychic abilities. Now, I'm more of a clairsentient being, which means that I have higher sensitivity to feeling things. And so if someone's going through something, I will literally feel it in my body as if I were going through it as well. This makes me highly intuitive, obviously, and it allows me to pick up on a lot of information. So I swear, I was just like, back in the day, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go in, jump in full throttle and do this. I made my Instagram page, which is still my Instagram page right now. And I was just like reaching out to anyone in the spiritual community. Like if I saw that they liked a spiritual post, I would like go follow them, just because I knew that I wanted the right kind of people watching my content. And so I was like, free reading here, free reading there, like just allow me to have a space where I can try this out. And I was accurate. I was getting really, really accurate with it, which was super awesome. Offering some small forms of advice or guidance or clarity or a reasoning to whenever someone was having an issue. And naturally, I was drawn to whatever blockages they had. So if they had a specific blockage, I was able to kind of, pick it out and say, okay, we may need to do the opposite of what you're doing because we can reverse this effect, or we can try something else out to help that. Not only that, I already knew about the chakras, different energy systems in our body. So whenever I felt someone was going through something, I knew where in their body they were holding that energy, and I was able to then help release them from that. So that is how it kind of trickled to Reiki, because I was not only doing energy reads on people, I was like, no, but let's fix it. We can fix it, because it's cool to have a reading, but if you can't like solve anything, or if you can't like feel like you're alchemizing something that needs to be alchemized, I feel like it's not enough. I wanted to do more in that sense. So I started with the readings, and then I finally got the tarot cards, because tarot cards were like, all right, let's dive into a different element and see. Then I became obsessed. I became a little bit of a collector of the tarot and oracle cards, and I just haven't stopped. I've been doing it that way ever since.
Awesome. So what are some experiences you've had with, some of your clients? What are some standout experiences for you?
Yeah. So standout experiences would be like the random call 3 weeks later that was like, oh my God, you were right. And I'm like, oh, like, cool, yay. Like, I'm glad we were aware of it before it became a larger issue. I like also like those people who really feel that sense of alleviation or relief, or I can even feel it without them even telling me. Bringing that clarity and realization and different perspective to people, I think is something that I really, like as well about doing all this, because I want people to just have better days. Like if I can make something easier for you, I freaking will. And I'll do anything I can to do that. And I feel like, especially me in the past going through hard times, if I didn't have like a confidant, if I didn't have someone in my corner, it was like so torturous to kind of go through that, because you couldn't have an outlet. You couldn't have someone understand you. So when I, filled the shoes of this role, I was like, I need to be that for other people, because there was times where I needed that and I literally wouldn't even know where to find it. And that's why I like started reaching out to people. I'm like, hey, if you need anything, I'm here. If you need anything, I'm here. I got you. And like, I just started posting content and like just being in people's inboxes, because honestly, like 8 times out of 10, they would be like, yes, I actually really need your help. A complete stranger. They didn't care. They're like, I just trust you. I need your help. And I was not only someone who helped energy read them, but I was like able to hold space for whatever they had going on. And I think that's really what has affected them a lot as well.
Oh, that is so cool. I would love to see a little bit of what you do. If you want to, do a little demo,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Absolutely cool. So I'm gonna like let you know how to like sit and have your posture so you can kind of experience the full thing. We'll do a couple seconds of it. So I'll have you sit as you're already seated. You can have your hands placed on your knees, either face up or face down, whatever you kind of feel is the best for you at the moment. You're gonna place your shoulders up, then back, and then down, so they're nicely resting in their sockets. We're going to kind of tilt our chin a little bit upwards. We're going to make sure that our tongue is placed on the roof of our mouth. Our teeth are slightly separated, so our jaw is unclenched. We're going to relax all the muscles of the face, and we're going to take 3 big, deep breaths. And yes, you can close your eyes and kind of get into it. When I say deep breaths, I want you to inhale through your nose and then have it sink all the way deep down to your belly, and then exhale out the mouth. Okay, so we'll do 3 of these. Inhale. Deep down to the belly, and exhale out the mouth. Let it go. Good. 2 more times. Inhale. Deep down to the belly, and exhale. Let it go. Great. One last time. Inhale. Deep down, and exhale. Good. So at this time, you can keep your eyes closed or open throughout our little mini session, and we will begin. Good. Go ahead and breathe in 3 more times. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Let it go. Good job. Good. How was your experience?
Thank you so much. It was so relaxing to me. I love watching this. It's so
Good.
great because it's like I watched them on my phone and you're right here doing it.
I'm like doing it like right here for you.
Yeah.
And it's cool too because as I'm doing them, especially if I'm doing like a solo one, I'll get messages. It's basically like a reading as well. So I'm giving you the healing, but I'll get little messages. And I saw 3 colors. I saw purple, I saw green, and I saw orange as well. So those are indicative of the sacral chakra, the heart chakra, and the crown chakra. So if you want to talk about this after, or you want like a little tidbit on how like the chakras work, we could definitely help you out too.
That'd be awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
hearing from you. And yeah, I'll definitely keep in touch. I would love to know more about, if you have a minute, more about what that means.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Take care.
You too.